My name is Emma, and this is the story of how I fell in love, got married, and found myself entangled in a web of deceit and betrayal. It all started when I met Mark, the man who would become my husband. I first laid eyes on Mark at a friend's party. He stood tall and confident, his warm smile captivating me instantly. As fate would have it, we struck up a conversation, and within moments we were engrossed in each other's stories. It was as if the world around us faded into the background, leaving only the two of us. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Mark and I grew closer with each passing day. We discovered shared interests, dreams, and aspirations that aligned perfectly. The more time we spent together, the deeper our connection grew. It was a love that seemed destined, and I couldn't help but feel like the luckiest woman alive. But amidst the blossoming romance, there loomed a shadow. The disapproval of Mark's parents. Mr. and Mrs. Anderson were staunch traditionalists who believed their son should marry within their social circle. I didn't fit their mold, and they made sure I knew it. Their cold glares and cutting remarks were a constant reminder that I was an outsider. One evening, as Mark and I strolled hand in hand through a park, I couldn't contain my curiosity any longer. I mustered the courage to ask him about his parents' icy behavior. "Mark, why do your parents treat me so coldly?" I asked, my voice tinged with vulnerability. He squeezed my hand, his eyes filled with both sadness and determination. "Emma, my parents have always had a certain expectation for who I should marry. They have their own vision of what our family should look like. But you're everything I've ever wanted. Their disapproval is their burden to bear, not ours." I nodded, tears welling up in my eyes. It was comforting to hear his words, to know that he believed in our love despite the obstacles we faced. "We'll face this together, Emma," he continued, his voice filled with conviction. "Our love is strong enough to withstand any storm. I choose you, and I'll stand by your side no matter what." In that moment, I knew I had found not only a partner, but a true ally. Mark's unwavering support gave me the strength to face the challenges that lay ahead. Little did I know that the test of our love was just beginning, and it would push us to the limits of our endurance. And so, as we embarked on our journey as a married couple, I held on to Mark's promise. The promise of love conquering all. But neither of us could have predicted the treacherous path that awaited us, the dark secrets and betrayals that would shake the foundation of our relationship. It was a test of our love like no other, and it all began with an invitation to the woods, a seemingly innocent trip that would turn into a nightmare. Mark's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Anderson, continued to treat me with cold indifference, their disapproval palpable in every interaction. Their icy demeanor created an invisible barrier, a wall that separated us from fully embracing the joys of family life. But Mark and I were determined not to let their hostility dampen our spirits. One evening, we gathered around the dinner table at Mark's childhood home. The atmosphere was tense, as it often was in the presence of his parents. The clinking of silverware against plates was the only sound that broke the uneasy silence. Mrs. Anderson cleared her throat, her voice laced with aggressiveness. "So, Mark, have you considered any other prospects lately? Perhaps someone more suitable?" I looked down at my plate, my heart sinking. Mark's jaw tensed, his eyes narrowing as he defended our love. "Mother, Emma is more than suitable. She is the woman I love, the woman I have chosen to spend my life with. I won't entertain any suggestions of prospects because there is no one else for me but Emma." His words hung in the air, the tension escalating with each passing moment. Mr. Anderson, the silent observer, finally spoke up, his voice filled with disdain. "You're making a mistake, Mark. You're blinded by this infatuation. One day, you'll realize the gravity of your decision." I mustered the courage to interject, my voice quivering with a mix of hurt and determination. "Mr. Anderson, I understand that you have certain expectations for your son, but love cannot be confined to those boundaries. Mark and I share a deep connection, a bond that cannot be broken by societal norms or familial disapproval." The room fell silent once again, the weight of our words hanging heavily in the air. Mark reached across the table, gently grasping my hand. Emma is right. Dad, love knows no boundaries. I hope one day you'll understand and accept our choice. With that, the conversation came to an abrupt end. The tension lingered, but Mark's unwavering support gave me the strength to face the challenges ahead. In the following years, Mark and I created our own little haven. Shielded from the storm brewing within his family, we poured our love into building a home together, cherishing the moments of bliss we found in each other's arms. Our love became our fortress, protecting us from the outside world, even as the wounds inflicted by his parents' coldness continued to sting. We celebrated anniversaries, traveled to new places, and created cherished memories that bound us together. Through it all, we clung to the belief that love could conquer anything, even the frigid disapproval of his parents. And in those moments of joy, we found solace, a respite from the battles we fought silently. But deep down, a lingering sadness persisted, an ache for the acceptance we craved from those who should have embraced us with open arms. Little did we know that our love would soon be put to the ultimate test when Mark's absence on a business trip would expose the true extent of his parents' treachery. The storm was approaching, and we were about to be swept into its tumultuous depths. One fateful day, Mark informed me that he had to embark on a month-long business trip, leaving me with a sense of longing and apprehension. The thought of being apart from him for such an extended period was daunting, but he reassured me, his arms wrapped tightly around me. Emma, I know it's difficult, but this trip is necessary for our future. I promise to be in constant contact with you, and before you know it, I'll be back in your arms, he whispered, his voice filled with warmth and love. Reluctantly, I accepted his words, burying my fears deep within. I bid him farewell at the airport, watching his figure disappear beyond the security gates, my heart heavy with a mix of love and worry. Days turned into weeks, and loneliness settled upon me like a heavy fog. I longed for Mark's presence, his reassuring touch that chased away my fears, but amidst the ache in my heart, his parents extended an unexpected invitation, an invitation to spend a weekend with them in the woods. It was an invitation shrouded in suspicion, but a small glimmer of hope emerged, a chance to bridge the gap between us, to find common ground and acceptance. I hesitantly agreed, cautiously optimistic that perhaps this trip could be a turning point in our relationship. Deep down, though, a nagging sense of unease tugged at my instincts. The drive to the woods was tense, the silence punctuated by the distant hum of the engine. I glanced at Mark's parents, attempting to decipher the emotions etched across their faces, but their masks remained impenetrable. As we arrived at the vacation spot, the air crackled with an eerie energy. Tentative smiles were exchanged and polite conversation floated through the air like fragile whispers. We embarked on walks exploring the serene beauty of the surrounding nature. For a fleeting moment, it felt as if the barriers were melting away, replaced by a semblance of warmth. The evening descended and darkness blanketed the woods. We gathered around a campfire, the crackling flames casting flickering shadows upon our faces. Mrs. Anderson offered me a cup of tea from a thermos, her voice tinged with an unfamiliar warmth. "Emma, why don't you have a cup of tea? It's herbal and it will help you relax," she said, her tone almost coaxing. I hesitated, the lingering unease resurfacing, but curiosity got the better of me, and I took the cup, hoping for a gesture of goodwill. As I sipped the tea, a strange, bitter aftertaste lingered, but I dismissed it as paranoia, attributing it to the intensity of the situation. Time blurred, and soon fatigue enveloped me like a heavy blanket. I fought against the drowsiness, but my eyelids grew heavier with each passing moment until I succumbed to sleep. When I awoke, the sun cast its golden rays through the trees, illuminating the deserted clearing. Panic seized my heart as I realized I was alone. Mr. and Mrs. Anderson had vanished, leaving me stranded in the depths of the woods. Frantically, I searched for any sign of their presence, my eyes falling upon the abandoned thermos lying near my feet. Suspicions solidified into certainty as I realized the truth. I had been drugged. Trembling, I stowed the thermos in my bag, knowing it held the evidence of their betrayal. Panic surged through me as I realized I had no network signal, rendering my phone useless for communication. Determination burned within me, and I made the decision to navigate the woods on foot, following the faint traces of the car's tracks. Hours turned into an agonizing journey, with fatigue and fear gnawing at my resolve. But just as despair threatened to consume me, I stumbled upon a clearing where a group of hikers rested, their faces etched with surprise and concern as they saw me. One of them, a kind-hearted soul, approached me with empathy in their eyes. "Are you okay? How did you end up here?" Tears streamed down my face as I recounted the harrowing events, my voice trembling with a mix of fear and determination. They offered me food, water, and the comfort of human companionship. With their help, I made my way back to civilization, my heart filled with gratitude and a newfound resolve to seek justice. As I emerged from the wilderness, a fire burned within me, a determination to confront the darkness that had consumed my husband's parents, to seek retribution for the pain they had inflicted upon me. I needed to inform Mark, to let him know the depths of his parents' betrayal. Together, we would unravel the truth and fight for our love against those who sought to tear us apart. After the traumatic ordeal in the woods, I found solace in the arms of Mark, my pillar of strength. I recounted every chilling detail, his expression shifting from concern to anger as he listened intently. "I can't believe they would do something like this." Mark seethed, his fists clenched. "But we won't let them get away with it. We'll expose their true colors and make them face the consequences." The fire in his eyes mirrored the determination burning within me. We knew that the path to justice would not be easy, but we were resolute in our mission to bring his parents to account for their actions. Together, we sought legal advice. Gathering evidence and building our case against Mr. and Mrs. Anderson, the days leading up to our court hearing were filled with anticipation and preparation. It was a calm before the storm, a momentary pause in the chaos that allowed us to gather our thoughts and steel our resolve. During this time, Mark and I leaned on each other for support. Our love became an anchor, grounding us amidst the turbulent emotions that swirled within us. We shared moments of tenderness and whispered promises of a brighter future, a future where our love would triumph over deceit. One evening, as we sat together in the quiet sanctuary of our home, Mark took my hands in his gaze filled with unwavering determination. "Emma, I want you to know that I'm with you every step of the way. We'll fight this battle together, no matter what it takes," he said, his voice filled with conviction. Tears welled up in my eyes as I squeezed his hands, feeling the weight of his unwavering support. "Thank you, Mark. Your love gives me strength, and I couldn't imagine going through this without you." He smiled, his touch tender as he brushed a stray tear from my cheek. "We're a team, Emma. Nothing can break us apart." In those moments of respite, we found solace in our shared dreams and aspirations. We planned for the future, envisioning a life where the shadows of the past would no longer haunt us. The storm may have loomed on the horizon, but our love remained unyielding, a beacon of hope guiding us through the darkness. As the court date approached, we prepared ourselves mentally and emotionally for the battle that lay ahead. We knew that revealing the truth would be a double-edged sword, causing rifts within the family and exposing the dark underbelly that had tainted our marriage. But we were ready to face the consequences, armed with the truth and the unwavering support of one another. In the calm before the storm, we steeled ourselves, knowing that the journey to justice would demand everything we had. The time for confrontation drew near, and we braced ourselves for the tumultuous chapter that awaited us. The storm that would finally bring to light the secrets that had festered in the depths of his parents' deceit. The day of the court hearing arrived, heavy with anticipation and nerves. Mark and I stood side by side, our hands tightly interlocked as we entered the courtroom. The air was charged with tension, and the gaze of curious onlookers bore into us. As we took our seats, our lawyer began to present our case, a carefully crafted narrative of the events that unfolded in the woods, the deception, and the emotional turmoil we had endured at the hands of Mr. and Mrs. Anderson. The courtroom held its breath as we shared our harrowing experience, the weight of truth hanging in the air. Gasps and murmurs rippled through the spectators as the extent of the betrayal became apparent. It was a battle between love and manipulation, between the bonds of marriage and the toxic grip of familial control. The defense attorney attempted to discredit our claims, painting a picture of misunderstanding and fabrication, but we remained steadfast, armed with evidence and testimonies from the hikers who had rescued me from the wilderness. In a dramatic turn, our lawyer presented the thermos, the vessel of deceit. Before the court, its contents confirmed to be the sleeping pills that had rendered me unconscious. It was a defining moment, a tangible symbol of the truth we had fought so hard to unveil. Mark's voice filled the room, his tone resolute as he addressed his parents directly. You thought you could break us, tear us apart. But today, we stand here, united to expose the depths of your betrayal. Your actions will not go unpunished. Tears welled up in my eyes as I saw the pain etched across Mark's face, a reflection of the shattered trust and the love tainted by the very people who were meant to cherish it. The courtroom held its breath as the judge delivered the verdict, a resounding condemnation of Mr. and Mrs. Anderson's actions. They were found guilty of drugging and abandoning me in the woods, a cruel act that exposed the depths of their animosity. They were sentenced to pay $40,000 in compensation. As the gavel fell, a mix of relief and sorrow washed over me. Justice had been served, but the wounds inflicted upon our family remained. The courtroom buzzed with a sense of closure, the knowledge that the truth had prevailed. Outside the courtroom, Mark and I embraced, a mix of emotions flooding through us. In that moment, we found solace in each other's arms, knowing that we had weathered the storm and emerged stronger than before. I'm so proud of you, Emma. Mark whispered, his voice filled with gratitude. We've overcome so much, and now we can finally move forward, free from their toxic grip. Tears of both joy and sorrow mingled on my cheeks as I held him tight, whispering, We made it, Mark. Our love stood the test, and we're ready to face whatever lies ahead, together. And as we walked out of the courtroom, hand in hand, we knew that the chapter of pain and betrayal had come to a close. It was time to begin anew, to build a future untainted by the shadows of the past. In the aftermath of the court case, a sense of liberation washed over us. The weight of the past began to loosen its grip, allowing rays of hope to pierce through the darkness that had plagued our lives. Mark and I embraced the opportunity for a fresh start, a chance to rebuild our lives on the foundation of love and trust. With the legal battle behind us, we focused on healing the wounds inflicted by his parents' betrayal. We sought therapy, both individually and as a couple, to navigate the emotional aftermath and find a path toward forgiveness. One sunny afternoon, we sat in the cozy confines of our favorite cafe, sipping on steaming cups of coffee. The warmth of the surroundings mirrored the newfound warmth in our hearts. Mark gazed at me, his eyes filled with tenderness. Emma, I can't express how grateful I am for your strength and resilience throughout this entire ordeal. You've shown me what true love is, a love that can weather any storm. I smiled, my heart swelling with love, and I'm grateful for you, Mark. You stood by my side, unwavering in your support. Together, we've overcome the unimaginable, and I know we can face anything that comes our way. As we shared our hopes and dreams for the future, a realization dawned upon us, an opportunity to start anew, away from the toxic influences that had clouded our past. We decided to relocate, to embark on a journey that would take us to a place where we could build a life free from the haunting memories. A small coastal town became our destination, a picturesque haven where the sea met the sky, offering a sense of serenity and a fresh canvas for our love to flourish. We found a quaint house by the shore, a refugee where we could create new memories and embrace the beauty of a world untouched by the shadows of the past. Days turned into weeks, and we settled into our new surroundings. The salty breeze filled our lungs, cleansing our souls of the remnants of pain and betrayal. We explored the charming town, hand in hand, discovering hidden gems and forging connections with the welcoming community. One evening, as we strolled along the shoreline, the setting sun painted the sky in hues of gold and pink. Mark stopped, his eyes fixated on the horizon. "Emma, this place, it's a symbol of our resilience, our love. It's where we can find peace and create a future filled with happiness." I leaned into him, our shoulders touching as we watched the waves crash against the shore. "You're right, Mark. We've found our ray of hope, our sanctuary amidst the chaos. Here, we can truly be free." And as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow upon us, we reveled in the knowledge that love had prevailed. We held on to that ray of hope, a beacon that guided us towards a future filled with love, joy, and the unwavering belief that together we could conquer anything that came our way.